Everyone has a number in their head. The number that means you're free. The number where you wake up one morning and none of the things that used to stress you out have any power over you anymore. No bad boss, no soul-crushing commute, no pretending to care about things you don't care about just to keep the paycheck coming. Most people call it FU money, and most people spend their entire working lives chasing a version of it they've never actually defined. Here's the problem. The research on what money actually does to human beings at different wealth levels tells a story that is almost nothing like what people imagine when they picture having enough. The feelings people expect to arrive with each new level of wealth, the freedom, the peace, the satisfaction, keep getting pushed to the next level, and the next, and the next, and some of them never arrive at all. This isn't a video about how to get rich. It's about what getting rich actually does to a person. What each level of financial security genuinely changes about your life, because the gap between what people think money will feel like and what it actually feels like might be the most expensive misunderstanding in modern life. This is what FU money actually means. Before we talk about freedom, let's talk about what the absence of financial security actually does to a human brain. Living paycheck to paycheck is not just stressful in the way that a difficult week at work is stressful. It produces a specific and well-documented cognitive state that researchers at Princeton studied extensively. What they found was that financial scarcity consumes mental bandwidth, actively and measurably. When your brain is constantly running background calculations about money, it has less cognitive capacity available for everything else. Decision-making, creativity, long-term planning, patience. The researchers estimated the cognitive drain of financial scarcity is equivalent to losing around 13 IQ points for as long as the scarcity persists. This is why the common advice to just budget better or think longer term lands so badly on people in genuine financial stress. At this level, money isn't about freedom. It's about cognitive survival. There's a number that research keeps pointing to as the most psychologically significant financial threshold in a person's life. It's not a big number. It's not a yacht number or a retirement number. It's the point where you stop being one emergency away from crisis. A study from Princeton looked at the relationship between income and emotional well-being across a large sample of Americans. The original findings suggested that emotional well-being plateaued around $75,000 a year. There's a threshold below which more money produces dramatic improvements in daily emotional experience, and above which the improvements become smaller, less consistent, and eventually negligible for most people. What changes at that threshold isn't luxury. It's the absence of dread. Not waking up at 3 a.m. running the numbers. That removal of dread is the single most underrated financial experience available to a human being. And most people who have it don't even notice it because you can't feel the absence of something you've never named. The problem is that people at this level rarely feel like they've arrived anywhere because the goalpost has already moved, and it keeps moving. This is the level most high-achieving people are sprinting toward. The paid-off mortgage, the full investment accounts, the vacations that don't require checking the budget, the ability to say yes to most things without thinking twice. The data is clear that people at this level report higher life satisfaction than people below it. But here's what also happens at this level that nobody puts in the brochure. Your relationship with risk changes in ways that quietly shrink your life. When you have something substantial to lose, the psychology of loss aversion kicks in harder than it ever did when you had nothing. People at this level become more conservative, more cautious, more protective of what they've built. The same financial security that was supposed to produce freedom starts producing a new and more subtle form of anxiety, the anxiety of preservation. Research on lottery winners and sudden wealth recipients consistently shows that after the initial euphoria, many report feeling more stressed than before the money arrived, because now there's something real to lose. And the brain, which is wired to weight losses, starts working overtime. There's also the social dimension. Money at this level changes your relationships whether you want it to or not. People treat you differently. Some become resentful without saying so. Others become suddenly more interested in you than they used to be. The authenticity of your social circle becomes genuinely harder to read, and the higher you go, the worse this gets. But none of that prepares you for what happens at the level people actually mean when they say FU money. FU money isn't just being wealthy. It's having enough capital, generating enough passive returns that you never have to work again if you don't want to. The number varies by lifestyle and location, but in most developed countries, researchers and financial planners generally put it somewhere between $3 and $10 million in liquid investable assets. That's the level where the job becomes genuinely optional, where you can walk out of any room, decline any opportunity, and end any relationship without financial consequence. And here's what the research says actually happens when people reach it. The first thing most people report is not euphoria, it's disorientation. Work, for most people, isn't just a source of income. It's a source of identity, structure, social connection, and purpose. When the financial necessity of work disappears, all of those things become optional at the same time. Studies on early retirees and people who exit the workforce voluntarily at high wealth levels consistently show elevated rates of depression, identity confusion, and social isolation in the first 2 to 3 years. The freedom they spent decades working toward turns out to require its own adjustment period that nobody warned them about. Then there's the purpose problem. Human beings are not wired to do nothing 24/7. We are built for meaningful challenge. The FU money they imagined saying FU with turns out to require knowing what you're saying yes to instead. And the people who navigate that transition well, the ones who report genuine, sustained satisfaction at this level, almost universally have one thing in common. They didn't stop working. They just stopped working for money. So, what does all of this actually mean? It means the number in your head is probably not the problem it feels like from where you're standing. And it's probably not the solution it looks like either. The research on money and human well-being points to something most financial advice completely ignores. The psychological payoff of getting rich happens right at the beginning and then hits a wall. Your life gets infinitely better the exact moment you go from financially fragile to financially stable. Everything above that produces diminishing emotional returns, while introducing a completely different set of psychological complications. If you're waiting for a specific amount of money to finally make you feel secure and at peace, you're chasing a ghost. The happiest people at any wealth level have one thing in common that has zero to do with their bank accounts. They actually know what they're using the money for. They made the decision about what kind of life they were building before the money arrived, not after. Because it turns out, FU money doesn't tell you what to do next. That part was always your job. Subscribe and we'll see you on the next one.